Welcome to today's Explainer. Imagine a breathtaking ancient metropolis completely hidden away, just nestled high up in the rugged peaks of the Taurus Mountains in Turkey. We're talking just 7 kilometers north of modern-day Aglasan in the Burdur province. It's a place that literally challenges everything we know about ancient urban planning. Today we're diving into Sagalassos. This is a city that survived legendary conquerors, amassed incredible wealth, and then just vanished into the clouds. We're going to explore how a highly advanced civilization managed to build a thriving life right at the very edge of the sky.
Okay, let's dive into this. Sagalassos wasn't just your run-of-the-mill mountain settlement. It was actually known by this incredibly romantic, powerful nickname, the City of Loves and Caesars. I mean, just hearing that gives you a sense of its absolute grandeur, right? Its historical and architectural significance is so profound that it's earned a prestigious spot on the UNESCO World Heritage Tentative List. But to really grasp why this city was such a big deal, we have to look at exactly where they decided to build the whole thing.
Get this, the city was constructed at a staggering altitude of 1,450 to 1,700 meters above sea level. Just take a second to think about the sheer awe of that location. The geography up there is incredibly steep, it's sharp, rugged terrain. Yet, despite these massive, almost impossible environmental hurdles, the people of Sagalassos pulled off highly advanced water engineering and built a city of absolute architectural elegance. They didn't just barely survive up in the mountains, they completely mastered them.
Section 1. Rise of a Metropolis. And this brilliantly illustrates the dramatic, sweeping lifespan of the structured city. While traces of settlement here actually go all the way back to 8000 BC, its real urbanization kicked off later. In 333 BC, Sagalassos put up a fierce military resistance against Alexander the Great. They really proved their strategic power, though. Yeah, Alexander ultimately took the city after a pretty brutal siege. From there, it moved through a period of Hellenistic growth before absolutely rocketing into its golden age under the Romans. But, as we'll see, this peak was eventually met with a devastating series of natural disasters that would seal the city's fate for good. Let's zero in on that Roman imperial period, because this is when the city hit its absolute peak of wealth, architectural grace, and commercial dominance. Starting in 25 BC, Emperor Augustus annexed the city to the province of Galatia. Then later, Emperor Hadrian bestowed upon it the title of Neokoros, which essentially made it the protector of the imperial cult and the undisputed religious and administrative capital of the entire Pisidia region. And economically, they were an absolute powerhouse. They had a massive potter's quarter producing terra sigillata, this famous red slip pottery. And they did this continuously for 800 years, exporting it all across the Mediterranean basin. Just incredible.
Section 2. Earthquakes, plague, and collapse.
The collapse of Sagalassos is honestly deeply tragic. In the 6th century, the city suffered a devastating 1-2 punch. Massive earthquakes struck in 518 and 590 AD, literally shattering the city's infrastructure. And right in between those quakes, the Great Plague hit in 541 AD, which just decimated the population. Followed by Arab raids, the entire economic and social balance was completely destroyed. So by the mid-7th century, the surviving residents had to make the heartbreaking decision to abandon their vibrant capital. They moved down to the valley below to modern-day Aglasun, and Sagalassos basically became a high-altitude ghost town.
Section 3. Touring the ancient masterpieces. Let's move to and see how this builds as we take a modern explorer's tour of the monumental ruins left behind in the mountains.
Just look at the dizzying scale of their ancient theater. I mean, it could seat 9,000 people, and it sits at a breathtaking altitude of 1,600 meters, making it one of the absolute highest ancient theaters in the entire world. It was originally built leaning into the mountain slope in the typical Hellenistic tradition, and then later updated with a Roman stage building. Imagine sitting up there in the clouds, right? Watching a performance with the entire valley spread out below you. It must have been unreal.
Now, if you wanted to see how the citizens actually lived, you'd look at their public squares. Sagalassos had 2 very distinct agoras. The upper agora was the political and monumental heart of the city. It was flanked by the council house, these grand honorific columns, and imperial monuments. Very elite. But if you walk down the mountain just a bit, you'd hit the lower agora. This was the gritty, everyday hub of commerce. The real place for market stalls and storage spaces, originating way back in the Hellenistic period. It's a perfect contrast between the high-end political life and the bustling daily commercial grind of regular citizens.
A massive part of Roman social life was, of course, the bathhouse. Sagalassos featured a huge Roman bath complex built in the 2nd century AD, right over some even older ruins.
Visiting this wasn't just about getting clean. It was a sequential, full-body sensory experience. You would start by moving through the frigidarium, or the cold room. Then you'd head into the tepidarium, the warm room. And finally, you'd sweat it out in the caldarium, the hot room. But these weren't just simple rooms filled with water.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is what archaeologists actually found inside those majestic bathhouse halls. They uncovered the heads, hands, and feet of gigantic 5-meter-tall marble statues. I mean, that is huge. These colossal figures depicted Emperors Hadrian and Marcus Aurelius, as well as Empress Faustina. These monumental pieces of art, which, by the way, you can now see in the Bürder Archaeology Museum, literally watched over the citizens as they socialized and bathed.
And that incredible artistic skill extended way beyond the baths. Take the Hierokolon, for example. This was a towering 14-meter-high monumental tomb built in the 1st century BC to honor an important local hero. What makes it truly famous, though, are the intricately carved reliefs of dancing girls wrapping right around its base. It's just a stunning showcase of the high level of monumental art that completely defined Sagalassos.
Section 4. Unearthing the Lost City. Bringing this place back to life started in 1990 under the leadership of Mark Waelkins and was later passed to Jeroen Polblom. And digging up Sagalassos hasn't just been about, moving stones around. It requires a massive, incredibly diverse scientific team working in absolute harmony. We're talking about experts in geology, geomorphology, archaeobotany, paleoanthropology, and highly specialized architectural restoration. It's this beautiful, holistic approach to bringing a dead city back to life. So, the crucial point is what all that intense scientific teamwork can actually achieve. The most iconic structure in the entire city is the Antonine Fountain, built between 161 and 180 AD. Through painstaking restoration work, researchers didn't just rebuild the physical columns and niches. Now, thousands of years later, they actually managed to reconnect the original ancient mountain water source. Today, you can stand right there in this ancient city and watch original natural water cascading through this 1,800-year-old masterpiece. It is, quite literally, pure magic.
Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Sagalassos was a city built on sheer willpower. It survived the might of Alexander the Great. It thrived for centuries as an absolute powerhouse of the Roman Empire. But ultimately, it fell to the unstoppable forces of nature, earthquakes, plagues, and time. As we look at these magnificent ruins, still flowing with ancient water, what does this mountain ghost town teach us about the fragile balance between human civilization and the natural world? And perhaps more importantly, what does it say about the permanence of our own modern cities? Definitely something fascinating to think about. Thanks for joining us today.